Hi guys, I wanted to come here really quick and just talk to you about some vulnerability around wealth and money. What do you mean, Sarah? Well, I've had some really cool conversations with some friends lately around vulnerability with money, and we look at vulnerability like in relationships and where else do we look at it? Communication, and that's generally relationships and how we, interact with people. But are we looking at it from a space of how we are with our money? And the conversations I've been having a lot with my friend Paula Peralta, which has got us to creating some stuff around money, have been opening up spaces for me that I wasn't really willing to look before. When you start asking for more vulnerability with things, it's interesting the things you find out about other people, but then also what you find out about you. And for me, finding out things about me that I can look at and change is way more exciting than the things I get to find out about other people and how they're functioning, because my life and living is up to me. So I wanted to share with you some vulnerability around money that I'm choosing, even just by bringing it to you guys here. And then also, I know that when I step up and look at something and share it from that space, it gets to change for me more dynamically. So as a lot of you know, my older brother, not my other brother, he is one of my brothers. I do have two brothers, but my older brother is Dr. Dean here, and he's one of the co-creators of Access Consciousness, along with Gary Douglas, one of my favorite people on the planet. And they have an amount of wealth. I'm actually sitting here right now in one of their Airbnbs here in Houston. And when I walked in here, I was like, of course it's like a mini castle. Of course it's incredible. And of course I'm surrounded by wealth that they would be willing to put with people they don't even know and may never meet, and don't have to go through like checks and balances to make sure they're not going to steal the china or steal the silver. Like real silver is in here, okay? So people could take a fork and melt it down and have money, right? So walking in here and seeing what I got to acknowledge was a different space with their wealth for me. Okay. Gary and Dane own a castle. They have a beautiful home here in Houston. They have a ranch. They have this Airbnb. They've got a lot of properties. And I would always go in to visit and act like a complete outsider and be very stiff and not know if I could really get comfortable in the furniture. And if I would go to the cupboard to get a glass, I would make sure it was like the least expensive glass in my mind that I decided it was before I would pull it out, because God forbid anything happened. I didn't want to be like somebody who broke an expensive glass. That was my reality for so long when I would visit any of their properties. And as I've been looking at this thing about vulnerability with money and asking for vulnerability to show up, there's been like way more receiving. So coming in here and perceiving all the beauty and the wealth that's around me, I received from it recently as if it was like the very first time. And I walked into their home in Houston that I've been a number of times, and I wasn't separate from any of these things. I was there, I was with them. I was looking at the beauty of the antiques that they have, and actually perceiving and receiving from this wealth and from that item, whatever it is, back into my life as possibility, not something separate from me. And when I was standing in I think it was in Gary's bedroom, and I was just kind of looking around today, I was like, wow, this like space came over me. I was like, that's that vulnerability I've been asking for. Anything that we choose to truly get vulnerable with, whether it's money. We lie to ourselves all the time about how much money we have, how much money we don't have, what we think we can create, what we tell people we're looking to create. And we've got money here, we've got money there, but we're not accounting for that debt over there, who we still owe over here, like those kind of things. And we're not actually getting honest with ourselves. I'm not talking about putting your debt in skywriting in the sky and wearing it, this means vulnerability. That's not what I'm saying. But get real and true with you, and what's really going on with what you'd like to create with this energy of money. And what if it wasn't about your bank account? What if it was about your receiving? What if it was about your willingness to be aware of a possible future? And what if that was more the energy of being money than the dollar bills in your bank account, or the credit line that you have, or the wealth you've built in present day, but really looking at being the energy of money, the energy of contribution and vulnerability put together. What does that create? Sitting here with you, I even had to ask for an amount of vulnerability, because I know at one point, I would have loved to tell somebody that, like, yeah, I was hanging out in my brother's castle and we were just chilling, or I was sipping tea from some china from Italy with Gary, and that's my life, and posting on Instagrams for the IG stories or whatever. And that's not actually what was true every time. And every time I was in total judgment of me and what I thought I could have, what I thought I could create. And I was blocking all receiving that was possible. In looking to create this video, I was really just looking at what vulnerability I could invite you to by just sharing a little bit about like what was true and real for me. And how even though I was invited to these spaces and places and invited to receive from these things that two people who totally care about me and that I adore would love to see me receive from, I was still had my walls and barriers up to it because of my judgments of me and where I was financially. And in a desire to change this for me and anybody else who wanted to come along, I started creating money classes once a month. Put a money class up. It's my new demand. I'm going to get to what I truly know about money by contributing to other people, knowing what they know about money, and truly choosing it. And when you do that, when you make a demand and follow it with a choice that creates greater, whether it's choosing a class or starting your 10% account or having an accountability buddy or whatever it is you want to choose with creating your finances, if you make the demand and then follow it with a choice that matches it, you will start to have all of the stuff that's stopping you come up. And that can be uncomfortable sometimes. But again, if you lower your walls and barriers to it and you get vulnerable and you're like, okay, cool, it's because I've made a demand and it's time to change it. Because all this stuff used to be hidden under a rug, and not even like a fancy rug, okay? It was hidden underneath your $29.99 rug, and you like just walked over it all the time and just kept creating your life because you didn't want to look at that thing, right? But when it gets swept out and it gets put here, it means that you can actually look at it, and if you're willing to get vulnerable, you can totally change it, and then a totally new possibility can show up. So I'm super excited for all the money stuff I have coming up. There's Money Taster coming up in a few weeks, and I also have How to Become Money workbook coming up for 3 days with Paula in April, and I cannot wait to get into that book again. And from the new space and possibility that I know about vulnerability because of my conversation with my girl Paula, I'm excited for a different future. And I know we're all looking for a different future. And right now, things are interesting in our world, and people are having their freak out about money. And what if that wasn't your reality? What if now is the time for you to choose a totally different reality with your finances? So come join us if it's fun for you. And if it's light in your world, if you're like leaning in at all watching this video and saying like, what's she talking about? What's that? If it matches anything for you, come play. And if it doesn't, then start asking questions and start asking, literally when I say start asking for vulnerability to show up, it's like, what would it take today for me to have more vulnerability than I had yesterday? That's what it looks like. What would it take today for me to have more vulnerability than I had yesterday? And just keep asking. And then you'll see a situation rise and you'll go, okay, cool. What can I choose here? Oh, how can I get vulnerable with this? How can I be willing to get close enough to it? What if the things that come up are not as contagious as the things that people think are in our world right now? What if you could get that close to your limitations to look at it and go, not choosing you anymore? What if that's all it took? It's a few questions and a demand and a choice. All right. Hope to see you guys all there. If not, I hope to see you around. And if not, I hope to see you choosing whatever lights up your life and creates more, both financially and beyond. Talk soon.